Hi, I'm Stephanie.
And I'm Hilary. And this is the Hard Truth Podcast.
How's your week been?
Pretty crazy as far as work, but a lot of stuff going on.
Yeah, it's been really busy.
Yeah. So
anything new?
Car troubles.
Oh, joining the club, I have car troubles too.
Car troubles and trying to find someone who will actually tell me the truth about it. And that's basically
been fighting it.
I think I've told you this, probably didn't say it on here, but I think I'm going to go back to school and be a mechanic.
I think this is one of the problems you wind up having when you don't have a man.
Right.
Because before, you have somebody kind of help you with it or whatever, and I'm finding out that I'm having to figure out everything as usual. I'm Miss Independent. Might as well figure this out too.
Right. I'm not sure why guys are like that in that because you're a woman, that they can talk to you a certain way, like when you go to have it worked on or whatever, that you don't have. Yeah,
you don't know if you're getting an honest answer or whatever's going on, the trouble of your car or whatever.
Yeah, and I thought there was still a warranty or whatever. Turns out there's not, and so then it's out of pocket, and then of course I feel like they're going to push it to be like, oh, it's probably this, and it's like $1 bazillion.
They're going to try to make it expensive because they figure you don't know.
Yes.
Anything about cars.
I mean, and I don't know everything about cars, but I do know a little bit about cars. So.
Yeah. I don't know much about the new model cars. I'm kind of at everybody's mercy, but I do know if I feel like there's a problem that I'm not getting like the answers I deserve, or I don't feel like nothing's changed or something's still going on with it wrong. I mean, I gotta figure out. Yeah. You kind of got to figure out who you need to go to, and hopefully I found the right person. So.
Right.
Working on that.
Well, and that's what I was going to say. You actually found somebody who actually knew what they were doing.
Well, it sounds like it.
So
I have a lot of confidence in him.
Yes,
so
I think you
especially
should.
Since I'm going on a trip and I still have to drive it anyway because I'm leaving Monday.
Yeah, just won't be able to rev it up or I don't want to call it revving it up. What do we want to call it?
Drive as aggressively or spirited.
There we go. Drive as aggressive.
Or as spirited is what I'm trying to say.
Right.
As I usually do. Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't want to say the S word.
It'll still be a no, because I couldn't say it. It'll still be a good time. I'm going with a bunch of people, and we've rented a cabin and all that, so it'll be fun. But I'm going to Tennessee, so
yeah, that'll be fun.
But anyway, I think I need a break. I feel like I've been stressed, depressed. I think my I don't want to say my tension is high, but it's like, don't look at me wrong. Right. Don't look at me wrong.
Do you not feel like everybody is feeling that way though right now? I feel like everyone is stressed out.
Well, I've had some people tell me that it was, in the past, not now, because I have no idea, so don't call me and tell me it's not a Mercury retrograde, but I've had people tell me that things get weird when it's a Mercury retrograde.
I just said that to one of my clients this morning. I was like, are we the Mercury retrograde again? And he's like, I have no idea. He said, but there's some crazy things going on right now.
Full moons and all that kind of stuff. And then I'm just like, is something going on? Because I don't even feel like myself. I feel like I'm not accomplishing anything. I can't finish anything. I have too much on my plate. Mm-hmm. And I've noticed that with you lately too. You seem a little more stressed or on edge.
I just feel like it's everything in the world right now that's going on, and I'm not trying to be depressing, but I mean, it is a lot and everybody is stressed out. And I just can tell from my clientele that they're
probably not wanting to spend any money right now. It kind of feels like everybody's in that since when they have elections.
I mean, how much are eggs right now?
I know. But I did hear somebody say that groceries had gone down, on social media. People were talking about that.
Oh, yeah.
You looked at the price of groceries. I was like, yeah, they're still high.
Well, I feel like everything is gas. Everything's high. Yeah. But, I'm not going to go to the political side, but I was going to say, today I had, I don't want to call it an epiphany, but
maybe more like a meltdown.
Right. Well,
mine would be a meltdown.
Oh no, I had a meltdown at some point today, but I feel like I was just driving down the road. I'd gone to work, went back home, came back, and was driving down the road, and a funeral procession came by, and I stopped, and it just kind of hit me, Well, first it was that, do people do that everywhere? Do people pull over for funeral processions like that?
Well, when I've traveled to other states, a lot of people are they're way more respectful, in my opinion, in other states than they are in South Carolina.
Right.
or maybe it's more so the city we live in.
Mm-hmm.
Even in South Carolina and other cities, I think they're more respectful. I actually was on, I did a Toys for Tots cruise back in December, and I was in Lenore, North Carolina. And so there was a lot of sports cars going around curves and in the hills. People were pulling over because they thought we were a funeral procession.
Oh my
because in this particular one, it wasn't the spirited driving. It was more of a controlled speed, and you were just doing it as something to do to raise money for kids. And so we weren't going that fast. We had our flashers on, which is, we don't normally do that. And so with flashers on and driving slow, but we were in
that
the
was
curve.
The first thought was you were.
And there was a police officer leading, and there was a police officer behind. So that, there was no funeral. There was no funeral cars or anything like that, or hearse or anything like that. But everybody started pulling over on the mountain, and I'm like, "Don't drive off the mountain!"
Right.
We're not worth it. Don't drive off the mountain. But they literally would have a wheel on the edge, and I'm like, because the road's not that wide, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, these people!" And I was like, "They're being very respectful," and I felt horrible that they were doing that for us.
So, and that's only just right above us or whatever, because everybody knows we're in South Carolina now. So
at least for this week,
right? But I feel like the South, we do that. I don't remember.
It's a Southern thing,
right? I mean, being up north though, I don't remember ever passing a funeral procession.
Oh, you were probably on an 8-lane highway, and it would have been a little bit impossible,
right? So, but as I did it, I think people were frustrated behind me because I had pulled over. So I don't know what, maybe everybody was not raised correctly. I'm not really sure, but, and then, I was going to run another errand before I went back to work. And then, in our town, we have a fairly large, cemetery, and there was another funeral there. And I think it just hit me today somehow, some way that life is short, and, you gotta take charge and, do more things and experience life. And I need to quit being in this depressed mode that I've been in.
Oh yeah. I promise you, if you got a diagnosis today that you only had 6 months to live, or you got a diagnosis today and you didn't know how long you were going to live, but you had a terminal illness or something like that. Do you think people are going to look at things the same? Are you going to worry about that credit card debt you have? Are you going to worry about if you piss the lady off, your coworker down the hall?
No.
You know what I'm saying? Do you really care? No, I don't think you would care.
No, I think if I was told that, I think I would, probably apologize to several people, to tell people that I cared about them that I had never told before. And it's very strange now when my clients leave, I tell them all I love you, because I've lost so many clients over the years and stuff. So, and in fact, not last year before last, the last time I had this one particular client, we scheduled her for the next time for her to come, and her niece called me and told me it wasn't even 3 days later after I saw her that she had passed. That's what I'm saying. So that's what, we all worry about things, and I know we're all worried about things right now, but I really feel like we need to, experience life. Yeah. Just get out and do things.
I think what changed me, there was several things, and I'm not going to say that this is what changed me and this is why I decided to divorce my husband. It had nothing to do with that. But when I saw what was happening to my dad when he went into the hospital and in ICU, and it was out of my control because of certain things that, we won't go into details about it, but there were several underlying things that happened that prevented me from making sure that he survived, and he did not. And things could have been differently, and you're at other people's mercy and how people act and everything. And it's just like, life is so precious, and how a person could do the things that they did to allow him to be in the condition that he was, which caused his death ultimately. He would still be alive, I feel certain. But it makes you look at things. So that happened, and then there was an incident with my father-in-law, and then I had some medical issues going on. And so they all came back to back within, it was less than a year. It started with my dad, I think. It was around Father's Day. So I think is that May? I think that might be June.
No, it's June.
That's
because
June.
May is Mother's Day.
Okay, so Father's Day, it was around Father's Day, I believe, that it all started. And then it kind of like, and then I started going through a bunch of stuff in April of the following year. So within 1 year span, I had like 3 different medical things. And I was like, he passed away, obviously, my father-in-law recuperated the best that I know of,
Right.
He was doing better. And then, you just start looking at things differently. I'm like, what if, well, not only did he pass away and it was preventable, but what if we'd all died or whatever? And you're just thinking, why am I stressing out about this stupid shit?
Yeah.
Like, literally. Like, I see people at work, like, throw a fit, or I used to where I worked before, throw a fit because their stapler didn't work. And I'm like, really?
I'm sorry.
Who gives a shit? They're beating on it, yelling at it, and I'm thinking, oh, okay.
Yeah, it just reminds me of the movie It's My Stapler. It's My Stapler. Do you remember that?
No, I don't remember that. But I'll be honest with you, and OCD will make you this. Well, you have to tell me about that movie, but being OCD will make you that way. I remember when I first moved into the house that me and my husband bought. I bought new furniture and I was so OCD because I had cats and I was so OCD about the cats scratching the furniture or, somebody dragging something across the furniture. And I just remember like, you'd have thought that furniture had cost me like $1 million, right? It's just like,
but you had just purchased it. You wanted to stay, right.
Right. But then I and it wasn't when my dad went in the hospital that happened. I think I just got over it. It's just like I realized it's just a piece of furniture, and it was either the furniture or my cat.
Right.
It was like cat slid across the piece of furniture or whatever and scratched it up, and then I was like, am I going to be mad at the cat and kill the cat over something stupid, or am I going to get over the fact that it's already done?
Right.
Why freak out about it?
Yeah.
And so I would throw a fit about little stuff just in my head, and get myself all worked up over stupid shit.
Yeah.
And then I'm thinking when it comes to relationships and stuff, people get all worked up about some little stuff. Just general conversations with friends and get mad at them and hold a grudge against them for long periods of time. My uncle, if he's watching this, I love you, but my dad used to tell me that my uncle, if he ever had a grudge against you, you could forget. Oh, you could forget it. Now my dad
I know people like
that. My
dad
was hot-headed, and he would get mad at you and not talk to you for long periods of time. But he would get over it, and he would forgive you and whatever. And my dad used to always tell me, "Don't piss off your Uncle Dan." He said because he doesn't let anything go, and so I got a little bit of that from him, I think. And then I got the forgiving side, I think, from my dad. Right. So for a long time, I was like, I would get mad at the world, and I just would take it out on everybody, and I was just like, I would just hold a grudge. And then now I'm like, oh, it'll be fine.
And I think
life's too short.
That comes with age too. We become
more.
Well, no, I'm just saying we get softer hearted because, and
that's what happened.
Sorry,
to my dad.
Mom and Dad.
That's what happened to my dad.
That's what I'm saying. So my dad, bless him, he's going through a lot. He's he has cancer and leukemia, and he has a lot of things, but it wouldn't matter if we looked at him cross-eyed. He gets very emotional, and I get it.
Because you don't know. It's an uncertainty. You could be walking around today and have a medical issue and not know it, but you're not worrying about it.
Right.
And then when they tell you about it, then
I just feel like you just go down.
And you don't live your life anymore.
Right.
You focus on that, and
but you can't do that.
People forget. We're all dying. Nobody's getting out alive.
No, they're not.
Nobody's getting out alive.
You're not taking any of your things
so
either.
The thing is, and that was another thing with my grandfather and my step grandmother, thinking they were going to take everything with them. But you're not getting out alive, and you need to enjoy the time you have. Yeah. Whether you're going to live to be 80 or you're going to just live to tomorrow, and you don't know that. You're going to drop dead tomorrow. You don't know. Nobody, it's a blessing if you get up the next day.
Right.
You don't know if you're going to get up.
You woke up.
You don't know if you're going to get up tomorrow. So why hold grudges against people? Even if they've done you wrong, learn how to forgive them. And
I can honestly say I do not hate anyone.
Right. I don't either.
I know there are people out there who do not like me.
I mean, I know there's people,
but I still pray for these people. I still think about these people, but I don't hate anyone. and I try to teach my daughter the same thing. Like you were talking about holding grudges.
Yeah.
I don't want my daughter to have hate in her heart for anyone. I want her to, and I'm not saying I want her to be exactly like me, but I want her to have a forgiving heart and be.
But you also have to teach her to be able to stand up for herself and not get run over.
And see, my mom's got that covered.
Yeah.
So
I mean,
my mom definitely.
I ain't gonna lie. I mean, I might want to bury you in the backyard,
Right.
but it doesn't mean I hate you.
No,
I just want you out of my life. You just stepped over that line where I just
Right.
don't need your presence in my life. And like one of my friends said the other day at work, you're in my world. If I allow you to be in my world,
Mm-hmm.
you're in my world because I choose to let you.
Yeah, for
you know
sure.
what I'm saying? It's the same way with you. You have your own, it's your world. You don't have to let those people in your world if you choose to, that's your choice. But, I think people just like take everything for granted. And that's why like the guys that I hang out with, my friends and stuff that's over in another town, like before we leave, I try to hug everybody. And I didn't realize I was doing this, but I since I went through all that stuff with my dad and his father-in-law, I always try to hug everybody goodbye.
That's what I'm saying.
I mean, I know COVID's a whole
thing.
other thing, but we're a little bit past that. But I always hug them. I tell a lot of them that I love them.
That's what I'm saying. You have to do that because you
don't know if this is going to be the last time you see them or
Mm-hmm.
not. And I've had relationships with people that at a young age that I thought, at that age, you didn't think about dying.
Right.
And they died on me. They got killed in a car accident, the next day, or, I had a couple that had medical issues and passed away. And, you just don't know. You're not promised tomorrow.
Right.
So I don't believe in holding grudges and stuff. I mean, I'm probably pretty forgiving and overlook a lot of shit.
Now, are there people that I will avoid? Oh, yes. I will.
Well, you don't want them in your world.
But because it disturbs my peace. So
exactly.
And I have worked hard to get to the peace that I do have.
Exactly. And I think if you look at things that way, it's a lot easier to deal with things day to day. And I think like this week, for some reason, we just haven't dealt with it very well. I think I've let a lot of stuff get to me this week that I shouldn't.
Well, and we're human. We're going to have those weeks or days or months or years or whatever it might be. But I that's what I'm saying. I feel like just both of those people no longer, like the people that were standing there around the graveside, it obviously was already over. But they're all talking to one another, and they came together just for this one person. So obviously that person was very loved. There were tons of people there. That's what I want. Like, I don't want anybody to look at me and go, "Oh my God, I hate her. I'm not ever,"
Yeah. Well,
I could care less if anybody came to my funeral, but I'm just saying I don't want anybody to look back and say she wasn't a kind person or she hated me.
Here's another thing. I also believe that your energy, the people you surround yourself with, you feed off their energy. So like I noticed that when you are having a bad week, I'll come in here and I'll be cursing up a storm. I ain't gonna lie. Like if you're in a bad mood and I can see it on your face and I know things are bothering you, or if I know what's bothering you, my attitude changes toward the people and that have upset you or things that have upset you. I notice that it'll bother me as well.
And I know we were talking about this earlier and how long we've known each other. That is one of the things. Like I feel like I've become closer to you, of course, in the past, year or two, and almost two. Almost two? Has it been two?
No,
it's not even been.
I think it's been like a year and a half.
Year and a half, almost two. So I feel like that, spending time with one another and that kind of thing. And in relationships, the same thing when you're, in a relationship. It's this.
Sometimes you click. Well, you click with people, or you don't. I mean, it's either a connection or it's not.
Right. And when you work with people, it's the same thing. Like you pick up, like. I have a person downstairs who literally is like, she picks, as soon as I walk through the door, she's like, "What's wrong with you?" Yeah. It's basically just that way, Yeah. But you find your people. Mm-hmm. And we were brought together in an unusual circumstance, but you find your people and
or they find you.
Right. And you just...
And then you lose some people along the way.
You do lose
and
people.
You lose them for reasons that you might think, that you're devastated because this person did you wrong or that, you can't imagine that person not being in your life anymore, but there is a reason. There's a reason. You might not understand it at the moment,
but I've always said that, and I'm not trying to be religious, but I feel like God has brought people into my life to teach me something or to teach them something. And it might be that it's, a good lesson, or it might be a learning lesson.
Well, you mentioned God, and we said we don't talk about religion and politics, but I'm going to tell you this, same thing kind of with me. I think it was God also. But last year, if it hadn't been for the friends that I made,
you wouldn't have made
and the friends that introduced me to these friends.
He put them in your life for a reason.
Well, he put one particular person in my life for a reason that introduced me to all these other, or two people in my life that introduced me to all this other whole group of people.
That's strong. I'm so sorry.
And they literally saved me. They kept me busy all year. I was trying to hide out. I had anxiety. I was stressed. And I literally kept so busy, and I shouldn't have. There was money I shouldn't have spent. There was other things I needed to have been doing. But at the time, I was just trying to figure out how I was going to make it through this time frame.
Right.
And those people were there for me, and they're still, I feel like, there for me now. And maybe the tables have turned, and if they need me, I can be there for them now.
Right.
Kind of thing. And bonds and friendships were developed and stuff like that. And that's some of the people that I'm going with out of state next week or whatever, including one of the ladies that is also a coworker, a really good friend, opened her home to me, things like that. So things happen for a reason.
Right.
And we have to look at it that way.
And to go back to the friends you were just discussing, so the fact of the matter is that I knew her, but did not know her now. I knew her when I was younger.
Oh, yeah.
And that is just, that's another tie-in for us because of that right there. I knew her when I was younger, but I always knew her. Didn't
really realize that you knew that you
exactly. Knew her. But I had seen her every year at the same place, every year, same time, So that's what I'm saying. It's just another tie-in. And if people don't believe in this stuff, that's fine.
I believe he puts good people. You get good people and you get bad. Right. But I promise you, even if you only have a couple of good ones and you have a bunch of what you think are bad eggs, the couple of good that you have are going to way outweigh the bad.
Well, and that's what I'm saying. Every person I meet, I see the good in them, or I listen to them, and I almost know immediately whether I'm going to have
if they're going to be in your world.
Right. If they're going to be in my professional world, especially, but if they're going to be part of outside of the professional world.
Well, I just call it my world because I don't look at it that way. But
well, I have to be several different people.
Exactly.
In my professional world, I can't be depressed. I can't have problems. I can't have this, that. Although they all ask me, how are you and how is your family? Right. They're all, because they've become accustomed to me.
Yeah.
And I share things with them, but that's what I'm saying. The people that are in my life are there for a reason.
Oh, yeah.
And they were put there for a reason.
I feel exactly the same way. It seemed like it all took a turn when my father had his first stroke and didn't get medical attention. And it just spiraled out of control. And then it's like, he's like, send her somebody.
Yeah.
Send her somebody.
Right. Yeah. I really, I've lost several people in my life, and I would do anything to get them back, because you want to have that either closure or something to that degree of,
Are we talking about people just no longer in your life, or are we talking about people that have passed away?
Both. There are, friends, family members. I pretty much don't talk to any of my mom's side of the family anymore. But there are reasons, and that's what I'm saying. So I feel like there are people that if they walked up to me on the street, I'm not sure that they would speak to me, but I would speak to them.
Exactly.
And but there
I
are
always
people,
believe in being the bigger person.
well, yeah,
I don't care if that person has been ugly to me, that we don't share the same ideals. We look at life differently. If they've just been nasty to me, I still believe in being the bigger person. Now, I don't need to I'm not going to go into something and be fake, but it doesn't hurt to speak.
right. I have certain people that I probably, I will tolerate around me, but I don't want to speak to.
I mean, I've actually just waved at somebody or just smiled when I walked past. Just a little small smile. Didn't say anything, didn't wave, didn't have a conversation. But it lets them know that I don't hate them. I may not like them. They're not in my circle. I don't like the things they do. I don't like how they portray themselves. I don't, there's things I just don't like about certain people. I mean, obviously, people are going to feel the same way about me. I'm very opinionated.
That's what I'm saying. They're going to feel the same way.
Yeah. So, I mean, but I'm not going to, be ugly to somebody.
No, and I
don't think I won't poke somebody every once in a while. Just, sometimes my sense of humor is a little bit different. That's another thing that changed with me.
I think I surround myself with spicy people is what I do.
Well, I'm a little bit on the spicy right now.
That's what
spicy
I'm saying.
Side right now. I'm just things don't. I went through that whole stage of being, what am I going to do? How am I going to get through this? To now I'm like,
Right.
What can I stir up? I mean, I don't like drama. Don't get me wrong, but I'm just like, don't mess with me.
Right.
I'll put you in your place.
I don't have time for that.
I'm just like, there's certain people that will try to antagonize things with you and try to cause problems for you. And I had that at work. There was a whole thing that went on for, it's been so long I don't even remember now, but I just remember, not talking to someone for over a year because of it. And I'm like,
that's the grudge thing you're talking about earlier.
Yes, I got that from my uncle. I didn't talk to this girl for 14 months, 15 months, maybe 16. I think it was longer than that. I'm not going to lie. We weren't quite at a year and a half. And then just one day I walked in and I was like, hey, how you doing?
Wow.
Yes. I walked in and I spoke and she was like, and then we had.
I thought you were going to murder her before then.
Then we had a conversation. I made it into a conversation, and I was just like, I'll just go see what I'm going to get, because I'm getting past all this stuff and holding grudges and things like that. And then I remember saying, I know we're not friends and all, we're just being cordial. So then I found out that she went down the hall and she talked to my friend, who's also her friend, and she's like, I didn't know we were cordial.
Oh my gosh, that's funny.
But we've since spoke. And I've let things go that I was upset about. And sometimes it just takes time to heal certain wounds and stuff, Same way with relationships. You have a bad breakup or they did you wrong. I know you can talk about this. I probably could talk about this before my marriage, but back then it was more like just dating was, just hanging out with people and stuff. We were too young to really call it. If I'd been in a relationship, that's one thing. People didn't date, what is it? Exclusive, kind of thing. But how somebody does you wrong, and they just really do you wrong, and they know they shouldn't have done you that way, and they probably feel bad about it, but they don't, and they might say I'm sorry, and roundabout lazy way, and you're like, they don't really mean it, but really and truthfully, what do you have to do in a friendship or a relationship or whatever to truly be sorry about something and for them to accept it? So for example, I didn't give a shit what this girl said to me for the whole year. As far as I was concerned, if she'd been on the side of the road, on fire, here I'm going with that, on fire, I probably wouldn't have pissed on her, that old saying.
Right.
I would have. Obviously, if there had been something wrong with her, I would have been the first one to stop. I say that because you're hurt over what they've done to you and stuff. And she, I think in her own mind, was hurt herself over some other stuff that I didn't even understand that she thought I did, or maybe the way I treated her or acted or what. Yeah. People let this stuff get out of hand,
Because I think you're building it up in your head.
Oh, yeah. That you've been done wrong.
But here's the thing, and this is something my dad taught me, was that you're sitting here and you have all of this stuff going on in your head and you're mad and you're frustrated.
And they don't even know what you're going through.
And they have no clue what you are dealing with. They have no clue.
But
They're just over there living their life like nothing
But I
ever
can tell you right now,
happened.
I say that I wouldn't have stopped and helped her, but I'd have been the first one to stop and help her. Because
Right.
just because I didn't talk to her because I was hurt or she was hurt or whatever, doesn't mean as a human being that I wouldn't
That's what I'm saying.
stop and help somebody even if I didn't like them,
Right.
you know, kind of thing. And just
I mean, we talked about this last time. It was as a human being, we're going to help people.
well, people like me and you would. There's some people that
there's people that just keep on going.
Yeah,
you know
they're not going to do anything.
They're not going to stop. They're not.
No.
They're not
They
going to
might
ask
even-
if you need
They
help.
might even flip you off when they go
Exactly.
by.
Like,
Be like, oh, we're gonna post this on social media. Look at her on the side of the road. Her car
Right.
broke down.
oh yeah, there are people like
They're just
that.
hateful. There are hateful people. Don't
Right.
get me wrong. And they like rubbing it in.
Mhm. Because they want to see you suffer.
Yeah.
Because they're either jealous or they
It
are.
usually stems from insecurity on their part.
Right.
I'm not gonna lie. When someone has to overdo themselves and upstage themselves to try to make themselves look better than other people,
Right.
that literally comes from an insecurity on their part.
Right.
They're worried about losing their significant other to you. They're worried about not being as popular or as loved as someone. There's a very underlying insecurity there.
Oh yeah.
So like I don't get jealous of those people. I'm like,
I don't either.
have a good time.
I don't either.
You know, if you want to make a fool of yourself, go right ahead.
But my thing is with these people that again I will say we're not raised right. Why do they feel the need to put other people down?
It makes them feel better.
How can that make you feel better? Is what
It's a temporary fix. It's like I don't think they're trying to impress a friend. They're trying to impress other people, thinking it's funny to put other ones down. It's just like bullying. It's just like bullying for kids in school. They do it. They deep down, I don't think they care so much about hurting the kid. It's like how the other kids perceive them, like being tough.
Oh, now you're cool because
and being
you
tough
just
and
made
you're cool.
somebody feel
Yes.
bad.
And then when you get older, you're like, what the heck did I do to that person? Which obviously I never bullied anybody. I was
bullied in school. So.
I don't want to say I was bullied, but I was the kid that was in the middle.
Mm-hmm.
So I had the really high grades in school.
Mm-hmm.
So the preppy kids with money and things like that respected me to the fact that I was smart. I just didn't have the wealth that they had. I didn't come from the same society they did. I wasn't from that town, and all their families had lived there for generations. I was the newbie. And then there was the kids that they came from decent, hardworking families, but they weren't as smart or didn't apply themselves as well and didn't do as good. And I was friends with them as well. So I was like the middle kid. I wasn't the snooty upper class, and I wasn't the ones that everybody like looked down at either.
Right.
And then, but people tend to, when they have that status or think they're entitled, or they'll turn on you really fast.
Right.
You know, and they do it, I really believe, because they're insecure. I really believe they're insecure about their body, their relationship, their whole situationship, like with people, like the bonds that they have with people. Like they probably don't have the people that you would think that you and I have that we could count on.
Right.
You know, they don't have that. They have to make themselves look better to draw attention to them. You know.
I feel like my whole entire life I've been talked about my whole entire life.
Really?
I don't
I was a kid they didn't talk about.
Well, and it probably was the hair that started it.
Yeah.
But it went.
I mean, I was picked on. Don't get me wrong. I was picked on as a child.
I mean, my hair is pretty. You know, like you see, if you don't see the front side of me, you know that's the back, like my hair.
Yeah.
So.
But your hair is beautiful, so I don't know. I mean, it's probably more so jealousy than anything.
I don't. I think it's just that people knew me by my hair. You know what I'm saying? So, but as I progressed in school, then other things developed, and then.
To my physical nature.
Yes.
Yeah. And then the guys started paying attention to you. So then the girls didn't like that.
So, but the girls did not like that.
No.
And
in
high school, I was bullied. So.
Well, and that's what, you know what? I didn't think about that.
Yeah.
That's what happened to me. I went to a private school for 10 years. The first week of the 11th grade, I switched and went to a public school. Never told anybody I was leaving, other than my parents were the only ones that knew.
Right.
Went over there, and boy, did I have a new experience. So I was the new girl, and my telephone at home, because we didn't have cell phones back then.
Right.
My telephone was ringing off the hook. People were calling me, wanting to talk to me, and ask me out on a date, and we didn't have that in the private school. They they wore the letter jacket of the guy that liked them today, and then tomorrow he'd give his letter jacket to somebody else.
Right.
Well, over here, these guys were serious. They were calling me, wanting me to go out with them. Well, they had girlfriends, so what happens there?
Right.
Next thing you know it, I'm at McDonald's and this girl's got a knife on me.
Oh gosh.
Oh yeah. So you learn. I went from the shy girl to what I am today.
Right.
Like literally, you would never believe
I was shy my whole entire high school.
Do I look like I'm shy?
No.
I
don't think
I was probably
like
one of the shyest people
anyway.
ever. I was probably one of the shyest people ever. And that experience, and I'm going to be honest with you, that's why I wanted to do it. I knew I was being held in an area that I would never really learn how to be social with a larger group of people, and more. These people were all like cookie cutters. You know what I'm saying? They were all the same little town, all the same people. You moved from
class. That here now?
Well, you moved from class to class to class for the 12 years. Or I made it 10, and it was the same people. You might get one or two new kids, but when you switch from 25 to 30 kids in a classroom to over 300, and then not only that, you have different races, also different nationalities and things like that. So I was thinking, okay, I'm going to find the love of my life over here. I was thinking, this is going to be cool. I'm going to find somebody to date. I was just trying to keep myself alive. Right. One minute there was somebody trying to push my head in the water fountain. Next minute somebody's pulling a knife on me. And then my dad told me, he says, babe, what's going on? I was like, I asked to go to this school, but Lord have mercy. I didn't want to say anything about it, but Lord have mercy. I'm about to get killed over here. And he goes, well, you need to learn to stick up for yourself. And so he taught me a couple of things. And I ain't gonna lie, I wound up in the principal's office and on Saturday in school suspension because I broke this girl's nose. Okay. She walked up and I just wham, she grabbed me by the arm and I said, let go. And she's like, you're coming with me. Bam, I just hit her. So now it's like, I won't say the word I was gonna say, but it makes me, you change your demeanor, how you've been treated. You feel like you have to defend yourself and stuff.
Right.
And that's probably why I went through a little bit of a rebellious stage, because I'm just like, I'm tough now. I'm not putting up with all this shit from all these people. And then I realized I was overdoing it. Like, in other words, I wasn't allowing myself to have friendship and bond with new people because I put this tough shell around me that I had to protect myself and not let my guard down to people that really cared about me and wanted to be my friends and wanted to be in my life. And I'm just like, no, I'm good by myself.
Right.
So I went through that whole phase. Yeah. As a teen.
Yeah. I mean, my experience was that I probably liking the motorcycles and the cars and all of that stuff. So I was more of a tomboy. I grew up with boy cousins and, those are things. And of course, if everybody that watches this knows, I listen to hard rock music. I don't listen to poppy.
Lord, don't get in her car with her and crank the car up. The thing's wide open.
But I listen to that's what
it gives me anxiety. I used to listen to that in high school because I dated a guy that listened to heavy metal.
But yeah, so I literally that's the kind of stuff. I mean, Metallica, Megadeth, all
I think
that's what I grew up with.
He did acid in order to listen to that stuff. Gosh. I'm just saying.
I just met people.
I don't know how you could listen to all that stuff just wild.
I met people and they let me listen to it, and I clicked with it. And my aggression from all of that stuff that happened in high school and all it released from me.
Well, I went through a spell. I mean, I used to go to concerts from all those hard rock, bands and stuff like that. But then now I'm just like, I'm a little more mellow.
Right. I don't do the mellow and I don't do country, so please don't play that. But anyway, back to the story. Back to the story. So
the new country music.
Right. So I got one with guys better, I didn't do this. I didn't my hair was just crazy. It's like I stuck my finger in a light socket. That's how bad my hair was. I grew
up, I don't want to say I was a tomboy by any means, but I grew up in the country and my neighbors were pretty rough with me. I was a little shy, thin, frail kid next door, and they drugged me through everything. So that should have toughened me up some.
Yeah,
but I wasn't prepared for the relationships.
But you're still a girl, so that's the whole thing. Is I still had that going on, but I was still a tomboy, so I liked all those things. But these girls, and I'm gonna say it, I was a virgin back then. I was not into. I mean, okay, yeah, you have a little crush on a boy, or you think he's cute, or whatever in high school, but I wasn't into any of that.
What age? What class?
I was like, I mean, what are you in 10th and 11th grade?
Oh, yeah.
15, 16.
Yeah, 16, 17.
Yeah, so whatever. But that's what I'm saying. This whole time I'm trying to just get through high school.
Yeah, I'm just trying to get through high school.
Plus I was in a Catholic school.
Oh, yeah.
Well, Catholic high school. It's private, and there's, you have to be a certain way. So,
well, I was in a Christian school, and it was a little stricter too. So until I went to the public school.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. Like you're already just trying to get. I mean, you're going through puberty. You're
trying to survive,
right? You're trying to survive, and then you have all of that happening.
You have all these people talking about, I'd love to go back to high school. Oh hell no, I am not going back to high school. I would rather eat glass.
Right?
Yeah, no, don't want to go back.
But literally, they were telling me that I was taking their boyfriends from them. Ooh. And then one find out
that's
later.
why I was trying to get beat up, because they were like thinking I was trying to. They thought I was trying to steal their boyfriends, but they didn't know that the boyfriends were calling me, and I was going, "No, you got a girlfriend." Mm-hmm. I didn't want to get in the middle of all that. Well, they should have come to me and said, "Hey."
If you were new, you wouldn't have probably even known that they had a girlfriend. I mean, if these boys just start calling you, you wouldn't have known.
Yeah, so. Well, I mean, I hung out. I mean, I lived in one town. I wanted to go to school in this town because I already hung out with some people over in that town. And so you kind of knew who was in relationships, or you kind of knew. Right. And so I was like, no, you have a girlfriend. You don't need to be calling me. And then instead of her coming up to me and go, hey, is my boyfriend calling you? I have this weird feeling something's going on, and supporting women. Oh no, they want to kick your ass. Yeah. Really, they should be
and that's what they were doing.
They should be kicking his ass.
But that's what they were doing. They were blaming me.
Oh yeah, I got blamed too.
But I did nothing wrong, so I ended up changing high schools. Totally different story after that, and that's a whole other podcast. But
I changed schools too. I mean,
but that's what I'm saying. I went to literally 2 weeks of 11th grade and then switched.
I went a week.
So I was done. I was not. I'm not.
But I left for different reasons. I wanted to experience all this stuff because I thought I would never experience it, and I would move away, go to college, do whatever, and I'd never be able to experience the different way people did things. And then I would go off being young and naive, and then something would happen to me because I just hadn't had these experiences, and I wanted to experience it, however bad it may be. I was just really shocked that they took an interest into me. I mean, it wasn't like I'd blossomed over that one summer and I went from looking like a tomboy to, this gorgeous person or something overnight. It was just like, you were limited to the small town, to these people. They had little cliques and little niches and things that they, of who were in their clique. And then I go over here and they're like, ooh, it's the new girl. Right. Kind of thing. And then everybody's trying to get your attention and stuff, and it was completely different. Now, does that happen to everybody that goes into another school? And does it? Maybe not, but
I don't know. I mean, this being a small town, that's how it was. I mean,
no. You're small. You talking about here, small town?
Oh, it was way smaller than.
Oh no, we only had 2 traffic lights.
Right.
We're talking 50,000 less people.
Yeah, no. Well, there's only 60 something here now. So,
but I'm talking, we had less than 2,000 people.
Right. This really, it's changed so much. I mean, even just our main thoroughfare on the front here, that was all fields and stuff. Yeah. There was nothing there. But it just seems like every time somebody does something in this town, everyone finds out. And I know it's because of social media. Yeah. But
it was definitely like that. It was definitely like that, but we didn't even have social media. We barely had cell phones. I mean, just word of mouth just spread. And that's another thing, how I looked at things then, just trying to find myself and whatever, and gain that confidence of, you have to like or love yourself first. And I don't think I did that. I think I just was trying to figure out how to survive, trying to learn new things, and then got out in the world and was like, oh, So you're supposed to get married now, and you're supposed to do this, and you're supposed to go to work.
Society tells you.
Yeah, and I should have not done that because I was not ready.
Yeah, no.
I wasn't ready. But I look at things a lot differently now, you know.
Oh, we progress and change.
I don't know. I think I kind of went the opposite direction because now I just really don't give a shit.
I mean, less if I ever got married again.
Well, I still, like I said, care about people, but I also have that I'll try to say it in a nicer way, don't cross me attitude. Like, I will go to bat for you. I'll stand up for you. But if you try to make my life difficult or you come at me, whether it be social media, whether it be in person, whether it be on telephone, it's unnecessary. Mm-hmm. And if you feel the need to do that, just know.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm not going to do anything because you're not worth my time. So yeah. I'm not going to retaliate. I'm not going to do anything.
Well, I didn't say I was
in fact, this past year,
yeah,
I had several people put things derogatory online, and I chose not to.
And that's being the bigger person.
Reciprocate. Because
and there's some cases where you need to do that, and there's some cases where you just need to cut that off, whether it be cut them off as a friend, mm-hmm. Cut them off in your life. They're not part of your world.
People still
forgive them and move on.
I know, that's what I'm saying. People are still talking about stupid stuff that either has nothing to do with them,
yeah,
or they have no clue what really actually happened,
yeah,
or they just
I think
are dumb.
I think
I'm not really sure.
What gets me the most is the drama from like high school that people.
It's just continuing. Why are we still? We're still acting
that.
Like we're no. It's not even high school. It's like middle school. That's what I feel like most of these people act like.
I don't think most people like. I just think there's a few people that are not happy with themselves.
I know, but don't be pulling me into it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I think there's people that aren't happy with themselves.
That's what I'm saying. If I could, this is probably why the feelings that everyone is having is because you feel like you're being pulled in so many different directions, and you're just trying to get through life. And
you're trying to get through the day.
Yes, and be a happy person.
But you're supposed to be happy and blessed that you got up this
morning.
Right. But then it's a fight for your damn life some days.
That's exactly what it is.
Lord have mercy.
Why does it have to be that way? Why can't everyone just wake up and be
happy their life? It shouldn't be that hard. It shouldn't. I mean, some people, if they don't even get their damn coffee, they're just miserable. They're just going to torture you because they haven't had their Starbucks. And that's just the most stupidest thing I've ever heard of. But there are some people that are miserable.
I can't help but, there are days that I just don't have time to get coffee. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
So, but I readjust and move about my day. Maybe I need one later in the afternoon. Who knows? But you have to do that. You have to. But I just want people to just think about things before you say them. Think about things before you don't do them. Yeah, just all of the above. Think about what the other person is going through in their life.
Before you open your mouth.
Right. Yeah. Before you say something stupid or do something stupid, please, for the love of God, just think about what that person's going through.
Yeah. And like I said, somebody is always going through something and you have no idea what they're going through.
I know. And I see stuff all the time online. Like this person's going through this person's going through this, and
well, that's like you. If I wasn't close with you, I wouldn't know what your dad was going through, which that affects you too. You know what I'm saying? People don't realize.
And I try not to let it affect me at home, and especially with him. And I know he's probably going to watch this, but I do that because I don't want him to see me depressed or upset about things. But it is difficult when I walk through that door. I've had a bad day or whatever, and so I'm trying not.
And he's probably happy to see you, and you don't want to be.
He wants to know exactly whatever.
You don't want to be in this doom and gloom when you walk in the door that you've had such a terrible day. When he's been sitting there all day and can't get up and do some of the things that he probably wants to do.
Exactly.
And he's a wonderful person, and so that's the same way with my dad. It was really hard for me to see my dad not be able to do the things that he wanted to do, and then it go a step further that somebody that he thought really loved him not look out for his best interest. And then, things just went haywire. So, and it makes you realize that life is short and we take a lot of stuff for granted.
Definitely.
Yeah. So, forgive.
And so if you feel that way as well, we're also, we'll be thinking about you guys. I don't know how people, when somebody says, I need prayers or something.
I was getting ready to say that. I think some people need to start praying.
I know when people say stuff like that, but I want to know what I'm praying for because that helps me pray better. I know that sounds so crazy, but it does. So I don't like people going online and going, I just need unanswered prayers. I need to know exactly what I'm praying for. I want to know. I'm sorry.
Unspoken prayer requests.
Right.
Unspoken.
But
I like to know what I'm praying for too.
But there are people that are out there and they're like, they're going to say, God just help them with whatever they're going through.
Yeah.
And then if somebody says that they're sick or somebody they know is sick or, whatever, they'll just say, can you pray for us or whatever. And at least I know what I'm praying for, but, I don't know. I feel like that's one of the biggest things is,
I know we weren't
even if you don't want to pray, if you see, like I have this thing now where if I'm driving down the road and I see somebody on the side of the road and they look like they're having a difficult time walking or maybe they have a walker or they're in a wheelchair or whatever, I just stop right then and I pray for them. And I know that sounds so weird to do, but
no, it's not.
I started doing that.
Yeah, we said we weren't going to talk about religion and politics, but I'm going to be honest with you. Like, it's a big thing, like you talking about prayer and stuff. So I think a lot of people just pray when they need God's help.
Right.
They don't pray
to
be thankful for what's been given to them in the life that they have.
No.
And just to be thankful. They just pray like, oh, Lord, please help me get through this. Please help me get through this.
Right.
And then it's like, is he going to listen to my prayer? Because, like I could have thanked him for the last 30 days for everything he's helped me through.
I haven't been in an accident.
Yeah,
or,
and so.
A piano hasn't fallen on my head or whatever.
Exactly. So some people just pray when they need something. And I think it's I think it's in one of Jelly Roll songs,
It is.
It talks about, Lord, I need a prayer, like, look,
I only come to you for
I only come to you when I really need you, But,
and that is a typical thing, I think. We all need more prayer. But, I know we've said for people to reach out to us, but I'm not even asking you to do that now. What I'm asking you is to think about things before you do
absolutely.
Them. So please
before
do
you
that.
ridicule someone or
right.
judge someone.
Put yourself in their shoes.
Oh, absolutely. And you probably don't even know what's in their shoes, but just look at it. You don't know what somebody is going through. Lord knows I went through a lot last year, and if it hadn't been for the saving grace of my friends,
right,
I don't know that I would have made it.
Yeah. I mean, and again, I think that's what I'm saying is, I think God puts people in your lives. He also lets you see things that literally makes you think. So like today, I'm sitting here worried about all my crap, and then I see the 2 funeral procession, and it just kind of slapped me in the face.
It makes you realize it could be a lot worse.
Yeah,
you're sitting here, people think about, how everything's so terrible. Well, you know what? It could be a lot worse.
Yeah.
It could be a lot worse.
Like I said, tomorrow's not promised. So,
yeah.
Well, we do want to say that we will not be doing our podcast next week because she's going on her vacation, and I will be working on a couple of projects while she's gone.
We're gonna give Hilary a little bit of a break for a week. So I hang out with
I don't really know if it's a break per se.
I'm going to hang out with my friends for a week up in Pigeon Forge. So if any of y'all are going up to Pigeon Forge, I might see you.
Yes. So she's going to go have fun. I'm going to be working. And then when she gets back, I'm going to have fun and she's going to be
There you go. There you go.
I'm just kidding. I don't think I'll ever not work. It would drive me crazy. So
I need to slow down a little bit.
I do want us to start doing more things. I'd like to take my child to different things and stuff like that too. So
yeah, because that's another thing. Kids grow up really quick too. Next thing you know, they'd be grown.
And she's a teenager now. It's so crazy. Yeah. So, but anyway, we will be absent next week, and we will love to hear from you if you want to send something great. If not, then we will see you in a week. Right?
Sounds well.
About a week.
Well, no, we won't see them in a week.
No, it'll be
It'll be closer to a weekend.
Yeah,
well,
week and a half.
we might could shoot one a little.
Week and a half,
Yeah, we
maybe.
could probably shoot an episode a little bit early in the
Maybe.
following week. But normally it was a week. But
Well,
it would be 2
what I was
weeks,
gonna
2 weeks
say-
in this situation. We haven't even planned.
Right. So what I was going to say is maybe she does a few little things from where she's at. Maybe I do a few
Probably
little
not.
things. Probably not. She's not even going to be thinking
I'm not
about
gonna make
this place.
it. Yeah, it's just going to be having a good time and not really thinking about that kind of stuff. But we'll see you guys less than 2 weeks, and we hope you guys tune in, and we'll see you then.
All right.
Good night.
Night.